The sun is merciless. Hagar's lips are cracked, her throat burns, and the water skin that hung from her shoulder hours ago now lies empty in the sand. She looks at her son, Ishmael, collapsed under the scrubby bush where she placed him. His breathing is shallow, his eyes are closed. She can't do it. She can't watch him die. So she walks away a bow shot's distance and collapses onto the burning sand. And then this mother, who has survived so much, who has endured things that would break most people, finally breaks. She lifts her face to the cloudless sky and weeps. I cannot watch the boy die. But here's what she doesn't know yet. Here's what changes everything. Someone is watching. Someone hears. And he's about to call her name. This is the story of Hagar's slave, a survivor, a single mother, and the first person in the entire Bible to give God a name. And if you've ever felt invisible, if you've ever felt discarded, if you've ever wondered if God sees you, this story is about to wreck you in the best possible way. Let me take you back about 14 years earlier, to a tent in Canaan. Sarah paces back and forth, her mind racing. She's somewhere in her 70s now, and the promise God made to her husband Abraham feels like a cruel joke. A son? Nations descending from her. She touches her weathered hands, her aged face. The window for miracles has closed.
But Sarah is nothing if not practical. And in her world, there's a solution for women like her. It's not pretty, but it works. She stops pacing and looks at Hagar. Hagar is young, Egyptian, beautiful. More importantly, she's Sarah's property, a maidservant acquired years ago. And right now, as Sarah sizes her up, Hagar becomes something else in Sarah's mind, a solution. Abraham, Sarah says that evening, and there's something in her voice that makes him look up. The Lord has kept me from having children. Abraham starts to protest, but she raises her hand. Go, sleep with my slave. Perhaps I can build a family through her. The tent goes silent. Hagar, standing in the shadows, feels her stomach drop. Nobody asks her opinion. Nobody asks if she agrees. In this world, in this moment, she has no more choice than a piece of furniture. Abraham agrees. Of course he does. And just like that, Hagar's life changes forever. She's taken to Abraham's tent. She becomes what we might call a surrogate today, except she has no say in it, no contract, no protection. She's used. But then something unexpected happens. Hagar becomes pregnant. And for the first time in her life as a slave, Hagar feels something shift inside her. She can do something her powerful mistress cannot. Her body has succeeded where Sarah's has failed. In a culture that measures a woman's worth by her ability to bear children, Hagar suddenly has value. She begins to look at Sarah differently. The text says she despised her mistress. It's subtle, but Sarah notices everything. One day, Sarah explodes. She finds Abraham and her voice is shaking with rage. You are responsible for the wrong I am suffering. I put my slave in your arms, and now that she knows she's pregnant, she despises me. Abraham barely looks up. Your slave is in your hands, he says, washing his hands of the whole situation. Do with her whatever you think best. And Sarah does. The text doesn't tell us exactly what Sarah does to Hagar, but it uses a Hebrew word that means to afflict, to oppress, to mistreat severely. It's brutal enough that Hagar makes a desperate choice. She runs. Pregnant, alone, she flees into the wilderness toward Egypt, toward anything that feels like home. She'd rather risk death in the desert than stay one more day under Sarah's hand. Hagar stumbles through the desert heat, one hand on her swollen belly. Her feet are blistered. She's rationing the water she managed to grab. Every step takes her farther from Abraham's camp, closer to, what? Egypt is hundreds of miles away. Will she make it? Will her baby? She doesn't know. She just knows she can't go back. Finally, she collapses near a spring, a gift of fresh water on the road to Shur. She drinks deeply, splashes water on her face, and closes her eyes. And then she hears a voice. Hagar. Her eyes snap open. There's a figure standing before her, radiant and terrible and somehow familiar all at once. Later, she'll call him the angel of the Lord, but right now all she knows is that she's in the presence of something, someone divine. Hagar, slave of Sarai, the voice says, and something breaks inside her because he knows her name. He knows who she is. Where have you come from, and where are you going? I'm running away from my mistress Sarai, she whispers. Go back to your mistress and submit to her. I will increase your descendants so much that they will be too numerous to count. Hagar's breath catches. Descendants? Multitudes? This isn't the kind of promise given to slaves. This is the kind of promise given to matriarchs, to founders of nations. You are now pregnant and you will give birth to a son. You shall name him Ishmael, which means God hears, for the Lord has heard of your misery. He will be a wild donkey of a man. His hand will be against everyone and everyone's hand against him, and he will live in hostility toward all his brothers. And then Hagar does something extraordinary. This foreign slave woman, this Egyptian nobody, looks at the divine being before her and gives him a name. You are El Roy, she breathes, the God who sees me. Her voice breaks. I have now seen the one who sees me. Hagar returns to Abraham's camp. She submits to Sarah, but she's different now. She carries God's promise in her heart along with the child in her womb. She gives birth to a son. She names him Ishmael, God hears. Abraham is 86 years old. Hagar watches Ishmael grow from a baby to a boy to a young man. For 14 years, he's Abraham's only son. The heir. The promised one, or so it seems. But then the impossible happens. Sarah, now 90 years old, becomes pregnant. She gives birth to a son named Isaac, which means laughter. The camp celebrates. There's joy, there's feasting, there's music. And Hagar watches, feeling the ground shift beneath her feet. Because Isaac's birth changes everything for Ishmael. He's no longer the only son. He's no longer the heir. A few years later, there's another celebration. Isaac's weaning party, a big deal in ancient culture. The whole camp gathers. There's food, wine, laughter. And then Sarah sees something that makes her blood run cold. Ishmael, now a teenager, is playing with young Isaac. Sarah sees it as a threat. She finds Abraham, and her voice is ice. Get rid of that slave woman and her son, for that woman's son will never share in the inheritance with my son Isaac. Abraham is distressed. This is his firstborn son, the boy he's raised for 14 years. But that night, God speaks to him. Do not be so distressed about the boy and your slave woman. Listen to whatever Sarah tells you, because it is through Isaac that your offspring will be reckoned. I will make the son of the slave into a nation also, because he is your offspring. So early the next morning, before he can change his mind, Abraham fills a skin with water, gathers some food, and calls for Hagar. Abraham puts the supplies on her shoulders, and he sends them away. Hagar walks out of that camp with Ishmael at her side. She raised her son in that camp, watching, hoping, believing in God's promise. And now she's being thrown out like garbage. They wander into the desert of Beersheba. The bread runs out. And then the water runs out. Under the blazing sun, Ishmael begins to die. Hagar has survived slavery, abuse, rejection, and abandonment. But watching her son die, this is too much. She finds a bush and places him under it, trying to give him some shade. Then she walks away, about a bowshot's distance, because she cannot, will not, watch her child take his last breaths. She sits down in the sand and begins to sob. I cannot watch the boy die. These aren't prayers. She's not crying out to God. She's just weeping, surrendering to what seems inevitable. And that's when heaven breaks open. The voice comes from above. What is the matter, Hagar? Her name. Again. God knows her name. Do not be afraid. God has heard the boy crying as he lies there. Lift the boy up and take him by the hand, for I will make him into a great nation. Then God opened her eyes and she saw a well of water. God doesn't miraculously create water out of nothing. He opens her eyes to see what was already there. The provision was there all along, but in her despair, she was blind to it. She rushes to the well, fills the skin, runs back to Ishmael. She pours water over his cracked lips, and he drinks. He drinks and lives. They survive. And here's what happens next. God was with the boy as he grew up. He lived in the desert and became an archer. While he was living in the desert of Paran, his mother got a wife for him from Egypt. And God keeps his promise. Ishmael becomes the father of 12 tribal rulers. He becomes a great nation. Today, billions of Muslims trace their lineage through Ishmael, making Hagar the mother of nations. So here we are, thousands of years later, and Hagar's story still echoes. Hagar was exploited. She was abused. She was cast out twice. And God didn't prevent any of it. He didn't strike down her oppressors. He didn't immediately rescue her from injustice. But here's what he did do. He saw her. He knew her name. He met her in the wilderness, not once, but twice. And he gave her a future when everyone else threw her away. Maybe you're in a wilderness season right now. Maybe you feel invisible, discarded, used up. Maybe you're like Hagar, sitting in the sand, unable to watch your dreams die. Listen, God sees you. El Roy, the God who sees me. That's not just Hagar's story. That's your story too. You might not be part of the chosen narrative. You might feel like an outsider, like your story doesn't matter to God because it's too messy, too broken, too complicated. But Hagar teaches us that God doesn't just care about the insiders. He's the God who shows up for the Egyptian slave girl in the desert. He's the God who hears the crying teenager dying of thirst. He's the God who opens blind eyes to see the wells that have been there all along. Your wilderness is not where God abandons you. It's where He reveals Himself. Your name is known in heaven. Your tears are seen. Your story matters. And the God who met Hagar at Bir Lahai Roi, the well of the living one who sees me, is the same God who's with you right now, in whatever wilderness you're walking through. He sees you. He hears you. And is not done with your story yet. Thank you for watching. Kindly like, comment, share and subscribe to see more videos like this.